Dominates in a 53-3 win over Kalamazoo, where the Alma offense put up over 500 yards of offense. 300 of those included yards on the ground, ran for 341 yards on 50 attempts, 6.8 yards per carry, which is absolutely insane. And Alma did a really good job defensively stopping Kalamazoo on the ground, and you really truly have to give credit to Alma in this game, specifically Brian Morgan. I thought Brian Morgan was the best running back in this game for either Alma or Kalamazoo. I've talked a lot about Eddie Williams. He had 18 carries for 99 yards. But Brian Morgan, man, was he really explosive whenever he got the ball. 12 carries, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eddie Williams did have 4 touchdowns himself, so they had 6 rushing touchdowns, 0 throwing touchdowns in this game. Carter St. John obviously didn't have to do very much in this game because of that. Only 167 yards, throwing 18 attempts. You truly could see what this Alma offense wanted to do against this Kalamazoo defense, and they were able to execute. It was him, it was Eddie Williams, Braylon McDonald, Easton Hood, you have Tyler Herzog. There was just multiple guys on this Alma team that was able to run the ball effectively. It's not any shot at Kalamazoo, because I think Kalamazoo defensively obviously tried to stop the run, but I think one, it's just how effective this running game is and just how effective this offense is for Alma. And I think Alma consistently puts a lot of pressure on you, not only through the pass game, but when they can run the ball this effectively, this is going to be a really hard offense to stop. And it wasn't even like they weren't able to throw the ball. Like Sam Couch, Zach Poff, TJ Sealer, Eddie Williams got a little bit involved, Brock Miller, Joey Shallow, Aiden Klein got his first catch at Alma. Like, they had guys on this team that were able to contribute, able to make catches, and you also had guys that were able to play towards the end of this game, later end of this second half, that typically don't get opportunities to play. And every time I talk about kind of these dominant victories, I always talk about how important it is to play not only some of these young guys, but some of these guys that just don't get the ability to play very often. And I feel like that obviously is really good for development, but also it's obviously really good for the starters as well. That means you've been that efficient throughout this game, and I think you truly have to, again, give Alma a ton of credit for that. And not only that, but they were able to get in the backfield multiple times. They only had 2 sacks on the day, but there was I think 7 guys that had at least 1 tackle for loss for Alma. You have also multiple other players that played very, very well. Besides that, like Ryan Kugelman did not have a tackle for loss, but he had 6 tackles. Jett King, I've mentioned multiple guys. Jamarte Hogan had 1 tackle for loss. Zane Moore had a tackle for loss. There was an interception by Preston Marlott. Another interception for him. 3 tackles. You had Nathan Sanders had an interception. Steven Lambert had an interception. This Alma defense in this game forced 3 interceptions against Dawson Scoopin and Braden Leedon. And Dawson had 2 interceptions. Braden had 1 interception. But that's what happens when you have this kind of secondary, this kind of defense that Alma has really, truly been able to build. Because when you're able to stop the run, which I know that Kalamazoo can run the ball. Like, you guys have Connor Bell, Kyler Malani, Evan Aberberger. He played a little bit. I talked about him in the last game against Adrian, brother of Adrian's starting wide receiver. Like, I've mentioned him. Connor Bell only had 1 carry. I don't necessarily know 100% why that is. Maybe got injured, but Kyler played pretty well running the ball. 4 yards a carry, you can't complain necessarily too much, but when you get down so much early in this game, when Alma scores 22 points and then 21 points, you're already down 33-0 going into halftime. Like, you're going to have to throw the ball when you're down 22-0 in the first quarter. You're obviously going to have to throw the ball. It's going to allow the defense to basically tee off on you. And even though that they had 2 sacks, it allowed them to obviously get into a little bit more of a pass type defense. And I think you obviously were able to see a little bit of success with Kalamazoo with that. They did throw for 185 yards. It's a lot better than what they were able to do running the ball. But there was also one interception that should have absolutely happened that didn't. It was a false start. I didn't see necessarily any false start. It was a one-handed interception by Jett King. Should have been a pick six. A great play by him. I don't understand how that was anywhere of a false start. I know that he's probably a little frustrated about that, but what a great play by Jett King. I just wanted to obviously mention that because that's going to be obviously something that's not going to be on the stats. That's not going to be something that's going to show up on the back score. That's not going to be something that's probably going to be talked about after this game, but I think he absolutely deserves not only credit for that, but I think he absolutely deserves to be talked a little bit about that. Just a great play, a great read by him because I believe it was the running back out of the backfield that he saw, made a great play. Would have been, like I mentioned, a pick six, one-handed catch as well. Really impressive, but obviously the false start from the offense took that away. But just want to shout out Jett King specifically for that. But really, outside of that, like Alma was just dominant. I don't really know how much more I can really truly go into on this one. Just you had guys for Kalamazoo that performed pretty well, and I think you're going to have guys that continue to do that for Kalamazoo. I think Lucas Hannafin, Aaron Zeekman, Hayden Johnson, I think those guys obviously performed really well. Obviously, I've mentioned Lucas and Aaron multiple times. They're two top wide receivers on this team. Lucas had 9 receptions. You could truly tell how they wanted to attack this Alma defense, but when it comes to the end of the day, when you can't get stops on defense and you can't put the ball into the end zone and you only score 3 points in this game, you're not going to win a lot of these games, and they didn't win this game, and it was a really big win for Alma, and Alma goes into next week against Adrian. I'm really excited for that. We'll obviously talk about that game. I think that's going to be a really fun game. I think that's going to be a really high-level, high-atmosphere type game, and they can clinch the MIAA championship all by themselves if they get the win. So obviously really excited about that. We'll talk about that as well. But Alma dominates. Alma gets a lot of their guys in. A lot of guys get to play. Some guys get their first career stats. Some guys get to make plays that didn't end up counting. But overall, good win for Alma. Can't necessarily complain about that. And I know Alma is now looking for that game against Adrian, which with a win would obviously clinch not only the MIAA, but also a playoff berth as well. But yeah, that is a wrap to this recap. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future, and I'm really excited for that Alma Adrian game.